Welcome to Beyond Your Radio, and this is Album Review Saturdays, yes, episode 9. And for our special 666, that's right, 666 videos, we decided, hey, why don't we have a band on? No, it just worked out that way. So joining us is Sykofant, and Melvin and Per are joining us. Melvin drums, Per writing guitar. So I'm beyond excited to have them on here, but here's the bigger exciting part. They said, well, we'll review the albums too. So I love that. I mean, as musicians, you're appreciators too of all kinds of stuff. And let me ask you this. So there's Amoeba Records that's in the United States. Do you guys see the YouTube videos that they have?
No, I can't really say I've seen
Okay,
that.
so this would be cool when you guys, when you come over here and you do some things, and let's say you get big. They actually have the artists come into the record, to the record store, and then they get to browse and they pick all the records, and then they say why they picked them. And I love watching that because it's just
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it. I've seen some episodes there. It's
yeah.
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like, people pulling out jazz records that are doing, heavy metal burning stuff, and you're like, holy cow. Yeah. Or Barbara Streisand. No, okay, we won't go.
What?
What? Nothing wrong about it, right?
Not bad.
We're excited to have them. I'm supposed to say this. Let's hope I don't burn this down. So it's Velkommen, mein Herr. Welcome, gentlemen. Am I?
Yeah, that works.
That works. Okay.
Kind of.
Feel free to give us the correction on this.
Yeah. So,
So
obviously they're not like me. They didn't go and buy a bunch of records and sit in a basement and catalog all this stuff. They are the real people doing it. They've traveled it. They lived it. They're going to share their professional opinions on all of this. And I can't thank the guys enough for doing this crazy thing. But you got to stay after, or I guess you could fast forward. That's okay. As long as you get to the part where we talk about their new EP, Red Sun, which is coming out March. And then we do some question and answer. These guys, I got a feeling they're going to play right along with us on this in my manic state. So it's going to be good. So obviously joining is Dam. She hasn't missed one yet this year. It's 9 straight. And Alex is joining us from his abode there.
Also basement.
Also basement. The basement thing, right? Men are not allowed to live upstairs. It's just not. It's not. We're not. We haven't evolved. We're still in the
There's
cave.
a reason why I can tell Deb is at least on a first floor level.
Yes, at least.
Sunshine. Yeah, she's got
Sunshine.
it, right? All right. So the first album up is Bartees Strange, and it's the horror. Now, I definitely pick up on the idea that the Bartees is torn in these 3 different lives. Maybe there's 4. There's a very artistic and interpretive persona in the wild mix that the horror is. It's interesting. It's kind of vaporizingly making the genres into puddles. I don't know other way to explain it. It's a lofty experiment, really, considering the audio, the poetic natured paintbrush that he tends to utilize. The strange thing about it might actually be that the rap inflection and tones of the record and how they clash, and they don't work for me. And that's somewhat where I am, but that's just me. But that mainstream connection, I'm sure, is going to wind up being there. So in order to pull this off and elevate this post-indie art rock, I guess, Bartees continues his pressing of the musical flesh with a rewarding conglomerate of professional studio musicians who have worked with some unbelievable people, from Willie Nelson to all the way to Taylor Swift and Kendrick Lamar for it's crazy the amount of people, especially Antonoff, who's won producer of the year twice in the last 3 years.
Oh.
So it's what makes the album. When I first heard it, I went, oh, I'm gonna have a hard time talking about this record. I didn't like it. It caught me, and I went, wait a minute, what am I missing? Why? And I went back, and after putting it aside, of course, let's just put this into perspective. There was another album, an EP I might have been listening to more so that might have had something to do with it, right? So,
Yeah, that's
so
a good
I go
reason.
back and it didn't happen in my ear until I started to hear the musicians because I was worried that they really weren't there. I had this idea that they might have recorded separate, and I don't know Bartees that well. But actually I started to come around, and the tones, this pouring soul out. He doesn't have the vocal range of other people and anything like that, but I think the music surrounding it made it believable. And I think I cited Doomsday Buttercup as one of the songs that finally made me start to realize that there's a little bit more going on than than this persona thing, and he's making it emotional enough and impactful. And even when it rocks, like the song 17, it has an inflection and all that stuff. And then the rap, it kind of looped in with, was it Loop Defenders? I think that kind of got me. So here I am. I've invited Sykofant on the show. They get Bartees Strange as the first lead off. Gentlemen, what did you think?
Right. Yeah, well, I hadn't heard about Bartees Strange before listening to it. So yeah, well, what to say? It was a really interesting album. I think what kind of caught me off guard was that it was so different. Like the songs were like different genres, had so many different elements. Even the production value of each song varied. So it kind of, I don't know what you think, but it kind of didn't sound like the same album.
Yeah, yeah. My take on it was, first of all, I was quite surprised because it was so varied when it comes to the musical landscape and genres, as Melvin says. So I had the feeling that this album is, I'm used to listening to albums where it's a musical package, where it's like a timestamp for where the artist were at a certain time. So the music, maybe it's a bit more in the same package, but here it was so varied. But that was a quite positive surprise for me, because I didn't really because I saw the artwork at first and had my expectations from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when I started listening to the first two songs, I realized that, wow, this is it's very varied, and I think it was very interesting listen. I'm not a big rap guy either, so so that was I was maybe a bit put off from that, but at the same time I think it was quite admirable that it was so big. Yeah, it was so varied.
It's just stretched out over the entire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also liked that some of the drum sounds sounded very organic.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering what was going to happen with you guys and how that sounds and the feel of it all. I mean, when you listen to albums, do you go, "Oh, I would have done this"? Is that it? Does that happen?
Yeah, maybe a musician's trap. Maybe I don't know. Please, I've felt that sometimes before.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay, I guess I can sometimes, if I hear a certain song, I can start kind of like tapping to the beat, and I kind of make my own kind of drum beats. Like very consciously that I kind of make like, yeah, kind of a rhythmic section, or a kind of like a percussion add-on to the
yeah. Is this kind of since you've experienced this and it's kind of out in left field for you. Is there now a chance that you guys are going to start trying to implement some of that in the openings or closings of songs now?
No.
Love it.
Honest,
Honestly,
they were.
right? Damn. Deb, what you had the Barty Strange. What did you take?
Well, I kind of feel the same way the guys feel. It's very expansive, but I think it was good because I don't know this artist, and it kind of gave me an idea of the different things that he likes to do or is exploring to do. It makes me want to kind of go back and listen to some of the things he's done in the past. Some of the songs had if you're trying to explain it to your audience as to what feel I got from it, it was a couple of the songs were like a Kings of Leon feel. I really couldn't equate it to much other because it was so general and broad. But I always like to bring little tidbits to the show. So his mom is an opera singer, trained opera singer, and his dad was in the military, and that's why he's always early everywhere. And I'm a military brat, and
Yep.
I'm early everywhere. So I love that about Bartees, because if you're on time, you're late. So just keep that in mind for your shows, Alex. For this show, we don't want you going through the drive-through to get your food while we're getting ready for the show. So be like Bartees. That's my new slogan. So I liked it. It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I expected either.
So,
Yeah, this is
So I have a question for any of the four that want to answer this, because I also know that Jack Antonoff had a hand in producing and being on this record as well, also playing a few things. Being that he's someone that's worked with Taylor Swift, Lorde, Lana Del Rey, Kendrick Lamar, a lot of the pop contingent you hear now. Did you hear a lot of that influence in Bartees's album?
Yeah, I think actually there were some songs, can't remember what they were called, but that came a bit into the like midwise in the album that I kind of remind me of a bit like Kendrick Lamar-ish landscape. So interesting. I didn't know that, but since you mentioned Lamar, I think that's something. It makes sense that the production is.
It's definitely not Taylor. It's more Lana Del Rey, and
Yeah,
as you stated, it's those two were big for me. So I don't. It's a formula right now. The man's 2-time producer of the year. So if it's a formula, I guess you stick with it, right? There was, when I was listening to it, I think when we talk about this, that was one of the more besides the rap. There's a particular words that drive me crazy that they're just not necessary anymore. But it was that idea that it was too familiar in places. Like I was thinking that they just recorded it off of something else that was there. But then once I saw the people that were involved in the record, the session musicians, I said, well, no, they didn't just record this. They made it. And then he came. And of course, he's a musician himself. He plays bass.
Well, and if you look at how spread out the lineup is of where people played on this album too, like just using Antonoff as an example, like he was drums on tracks 1 and 6, acoustic on track 3, bass guitar on track 8, synth on track 9, piano track 12. Like he's spread throughout this, but the list of people who've played on this outside of Bartees doing the vocals is, I mean, it's almost 15, 20 people deep.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, it's nowhere near a weak album. In fact, I completely surprised myself in doing this in the final writing of it. I think Bartees Strange articulated a really good record for the most part from in a place that I'm not drawn to as much. And I'll probably remember it a little bit more than some albums this year as the year goes on. I'm always, because at the end of the year, it's the best of 2025 and it's 25 albums. So I don't know what I'm going to do when we get to, 2089. I don't know how I'm going to do that. All right. So next up is one of Alex's favorites, the Wombats. Oh, the Ocean. There's always something you can have fun with, take away, enjoy. They are an indie rock bop when it comes to them. I would assume they are more the household name in Liverpool than they are here in the United States. I cite the fact that they've named their albums poorly as one of the ideas. I never understand the record when they title it, but I'm a buyer anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to catch
I disagree. I like the titles they've put out.
you see, you're Barty Strange. But anyway,
But what I've noticed with these guys is that they've always put out something where they're really good lyricists. Their songwriting
Yes,
in terms of
it is.
lyrics. I've had times where I've listened to a song for the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th time, and I'm learning a new lyric in there that it makes me go like, I have to pause the song and just go, huh, okay, that one's making me think a little bit now. I missed that in the first few listens. So
yeah.
whether it's the naming of the album or even just lyrics they put in, they put a lot of thought into their wording. And so that's something I'll never discredit them on either.
Yeah, and they've not taken away from that at all. That connection is there. It got me rejuvenated to realize that while it's what the Wombats are and how they are, it's lyrical leaps. They got substance, snappy expressions. They can do meatier or heavier if they want to, but it's evident in everything that they do that everything is driven by the cleverness of the lyrics and that spottiness. But so now we take it over to the gang from Sykofant and say, are you all about Oh the Ocean, or how does that for you?
Yeah, I mean I enjoy the Wombats, and I think reminds me of it was kind of it is Britpop, but
yeah,
it reminds me of this band called the Cooks that I watched.
Yeah.
So the Cooks, yeah, I saw like a few maybe 10 years ago or something. No, and I think I really agree with the songwriting is really good, and I mean this kind of naive-ish longing, putting in like loads of pop cultural references.
Yeah.
I think that's really clever, and I think that's something that's a lot of good Brit pop bands have, is the ability to express themselves in a really really thoughtful and good way. So I enjoyed it, even though it's not like the music I will put on necessarily. I think it's kind of threw me back to like
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to you guys and your music and everything too. I can't wait for that. But
yeah,
what about you?
Yeah, for me, this kind of sound is not necessarily the kind of music I'm gravitated to. Look at me, I look like a rocker.
yes. A complicated rocker, though. Let's give you that, right? You don't want a 3-chord crunch. It's gonna be deeper than that.
Yeah. I like my music complex, but put that aside, I feel that they have a talent for expression, and this sound is quite new for me. But at the same time, I got Britpop meets 2010s era music, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was a few times listening to this album that I got a throwback to it was a Mew album from Denmark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Mew.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. I didn't even. That's a great connection. Yeah.
And also that's more a Scandinavian thing, but there's also some expressions here that threw me to an artist called Lars Winnerbäck, and
Swedish.
Yeah, Swedish songwriter.
How's it spelled? I mean, I'm trying to.
Lars Winnerbäck.
With a W.
Yeah.
The W? Okay. I'll have to look. I don't think I know that one. Doesn't ring a bell.
He's singing in Swedish, so the English.
Okay. I mean, I do go to places that are foreign and
he does.
lyric, but usually the panelists don't follow me.
I mean, the closest I've come is probably Kaleo. That's as close to that Scandinavian type movement up there that I probably have gotten myself up until obviously today.
Scandinavian, man. I'm telling you, that could be the new Mecca. It's although it usually winds up dark to some degree.
I think there might have been one other group too on my end, but yeah, I got to agree. Like it's every listen I've had in that wheelhouse has been fun. So I think actually one question I have for Per and Melvin on this, because Mark, I alluded to it we were talking about the lyrics and that, and then you guys brought in a little bit more of the musical element of the Wombats too. And there's very much an alignment that they sound similar record to record. It's tough in the evolution of a band. Do you want to stay in your wheelhouse with what works, or do you want to evolve and try to add more layers to it? Where do you guys fall in that spectrum? Is it making music that you're more familiar with, that you're comfortable with, and you want to keep making more of what is in that really good sound for you guys, or is it how much can we add into and build upon?
I think it's a really good question, because I think it's about like what do we want and what do usually listeners want. And I think in many instances that listeners usually want the same sound.
Right, it's a catch-22 for sure.
Whereas as musicians, I guess we usually like want to kind of expand a little bit and try new things. But I can often also I mean that's a hit or miss usually.
Yeah. And it can backfire when they're looking for a sound and you're wanting to expand.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's my reflection.
My take on it is that, at least for me, it will depend on the band. So I've earlier played in a metal band before, and I think, at least from my point of view, the sound is very much set. But compared to Sykofant, where I think, or our mantra is that everything is allowed as long as it sounds cool. So regarding that mantra, we're very expansive. We aren't afraid to maybe experiment with different sounds, and it may differ from the previous record, but at the same time, it's just creative fun.
Yeah, and I also think that if you, I don't know if this goes for us, but if you're a band with a specific sound in like the bottom, then I think you can experiment a lot and still be kind of and you can still know that the sound, you can still say that this is still this band.
Yeah.
So you can kind of allow yourself to be a bit more experimental. But I think you kind of need that ground wall in order to do that. So I was just thinking about an example like Frank Zappa, who could do like everything, but you can still hear that this is Frank Zappa.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
well, and I think you say that about the bands at the bottom and at the start for them too. I think you could also say it at the top, because they can get away with more. They have their base and they're not going to lose them. If it's one album that gets written off by their fan base, push it aside, go to the next, and go back to that sound.
That's very true.
It's funny. When you were talking about the bottom, I was thinking of the bottom of the music. You know, like you had to have a foundation. That's how I was taking your.
I meant the foundation. Yeah,
the foundation. Okay. So okay. I just wanted to clarify, because I was like, maybe I misunderstood.
There are multiple interpretations.
Yes, I
to
guess.
that, for sure.
That's clarified. Speaking of clarification, let's go to Dam for her "Oh, the Ocean" and the Wombat.
Well, these guys formed what, in the early 2000s, Alex? Like 2003, 2004?
Yeah, their first album was 06.
Was it? Okay. Which is interesting, because me having kids like your age, Alex, and at that time, you guys are exploring your own music, getting your own likes, and bringing things into my car that I normally wouldn't play in my car. And so this
Guilty as
band,
charged.
yeah, exactly. This band just reminds me of those kinds of bands that my kids were bringing to me to listen to before it got scarier later in teenage years with some of the things my son would bring me. But back to the names of their albums. Wasn't their first album named Girls, Boys, and Marsupials?
Yep.
Love that, love that, love that. That is cool. That is fun. I love marsupials. They kind of give me the feel of some of the other bands that are out there that I like currently. I like Panic at the Disco. We did a review on Franz Ferdinand that gave me a little feel of that.
Yeah.
Arctic Monkeys, stuff like that. And they got their name. Do you know this, Alex, where they got their name from?
I knew the story before. I can't think of it right now, but I've read it before.
It's just calling each other juvenile names like you stupid wombat. Okay. So let's name ourselves after the names we call each other in our basement, because that's why boys have to stay in the
Yeah,
basement.
boys in the basement.
Boys in the basement.
There's a
So,
band name right there.
Yeah,
it is. Let's do it. Let's do it, guys.
put a trademark
So
on it.
it was a fun album for me. It was a lot less for us to research this week, Mark, with a couple less albums. So I got to listen to that a little bit more. And it was fun. I liked it. I like the Wombats.
I'll just finish this off by saying that the album has some very cool sounds and rhythmic placements that hit you on the second half more so than the first for me. Diving into a bit of more of that Stone Roses and Oasis kind of feel, which and I love the Stone Roses, especially Second Coming. That's one of my favorite records. But that all hit to me on The World's Not Out to Get Me. I Am.
Yep.
So be careful what you feel. They cheat, they lie, they steal. They put your head on wheels. Baby, I don't know where I'll be by the evening. I could be sleeping in your car, partying alone, trying to chase a feeling.
Yeah, which could very well be the anthem for the last couple of years after COVID. So there, I said it. Okay, I said it.
There you go.
Right? Oh yeah, the world's not out to get you. You're out to get you. You idiot. No, but anyway, I
think I pretty much live off the first track. Sorry, I'm late. I didn't want to come.
That is your mantra.
Yeah. Anyway, I will say that Dan Haggis is noted on here as playing the mouth organ. So in a comedic stance, would the band ever want to utilize the mouth organ in the upcoming second EP?
Yeah.
Yeah. The mouth organ. Okay.
That's a new one.
Well, I just saw that. I know what it is, but I'm like, geez, did they? I don't think they had to put that in the thing, but they did. So yeah, I was like, oh, Don Haggis, mouth organ. He's like sitting there. I don't want that on there. Take it off. I said. So, pattern-seeking animals, friend to all creatures. Finally, we get to something that might be in the wheelhouse of the band we're on at the moment. So when you have a strong pedigree of musicians in the studio and a completist concept of creativity that, of instrumentation, compositions, I mean, these guys are basically the step friends and of Spock's beard in that evolution and everything. They've got a progressive breadth and nature that can go anywhere. The songs can be ridiculously epic. The compositions can be mathematically complicated. The bridge work can go right off the rails. But in this album, I don't think it does, so I have this thing. If keyboards, right? Keep it cool. Don't go nuts. Don't Ian Anderson me. I can't do it. It's too much. You lost me. It's almost like he started going and the band would leave and go, we'll come back in an hour when you're done. Having fit. But so Patterns of Animals doesn't go there, and they keep it very tight, and that's kind of how it is. But how about you guys?
Well, for my part, first off, I think it's cool that you name dropped Spock's beard, because I felt that it was quite comparable with Neil Moore's band.
Oh yes, yes. True. Yeah, his last record too, we reviewed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So the sound is very much the same, and I liked the keyboards. I think that was maybe because I like experimentation, and I think they did a very good job with gluing it together. I think that all the sounds was sitting nicely in the mix.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Follow me down the darkest road. Follow me. It's time for us to go.
And also the songwriting, it's they now know how to write songs.
Yeah. And then when you speak of that, you're not just talking about lyrically, you're talking about the music itself.
Yeah, the music itself. I'm an instrumentalist, so I tend to focus mostly on the instruments, and sadly the vocals and the lyrics is something that I will discover after I've gotten to know the music, on the bottom first.
Yeah, I'm the same actually.
Yeah,
I very rarely listen to the lyrics like the first couple of times. But I think that was also interesting about this album, that it's the vocals is so like clear and so like prominent in the mix that it's almost difficult not to notice what he's singing. I also really enjoyed it, and I think the speaking of the songwriting part, it's like the chord progressions is like just they always keep it interesting.
Yes.
Outside the wall, we hoped we'd find the land of all, the dreams we left behind.
It's some really like jazzy turns. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Sweet.
Good musicianship and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, from start to finish, right? Damn, how about you?
Well, I found it interesting, like, well, when did they form? 2018 or something like that? They're not,
Yeah.
First
You know,
album,
and
the
came,
band
first
itself
album
is-
came out in 19, so yeah, 18 would make sense.
Yeah, but they are musicians that have had past, with
Yes.
Boxbeard and
Yes.
traveling in the progressive realm for their whole lives. So yeah.
so I guess I feel bad because I'm the only one here today that doesn't know of Spock's Beard, but I've read that band name a few times this week in this exercise. Their influences range all over the place depending on which of the musicians you're talking to. I mean, anywhere from Eric Burden and the Animals, for God's sakes, through Santana and but if you don't know who probably is one of their biggest influences, just listen to Future Perfect World and you think Tony Banks is there, kids, because that was a very big Genesis sounding song to me. And I'm old enough to remember when Tony Banks was new. So, I was 12 years old, I think, when he started playing with Genesis or something like that. But I found this album really easy to listen to, even though I do love progressive music. I do love the Yeses and the Emerson, Lake and Palmers and the King Crimson and all of that from those days gone by. But sometimes it was overproduced and overproduction and too much craziness and too many noises going on for me to actually feel calm in my listening, and this wasn't that way. This was much easier for me to listen to. It didn't feel like it was all over the place. The songs weren't overly long. Sometimes I'm like, okay, am I on to the next song? Which song? How many songs am I listening to here? 1 or 4? But the Tony Banks, Keith Emerson sound that they have in a couple of those songs kind of pulled it together for me and made me understand where they were coming from and what they're trying to achieve in their music. So it was another good choice, Mark.
Good. All right. Well, I don't have much more to add on to that because it is that kind of band. It is exactly how I expected it to be delivered. It was just a question of how far were they going to go? How big was the bridge work going to be? How much were the solos going to become improv and not improv and hold back? Obviously Jethro Tull's release is just around the corner. We'll see how that goes. I have to. That's
your favorite.
No, it's one of mine that I so try and I can never get there. I don't know why. Maybe it's the vocals.
I'm getting my flute ready. Get
the
ready.
flute. It's but anyway, I want to thank the guys for doing this part. So they can, by the way, you guys can jump on any Saturday you ever want to. If we can send you the list of albums for the Saturdays, you go, oh, we got to get on and talk about that one, right?
So thank you for the invitation again.
Yeah. So we reviewed their great debut in 2024, which is just self-titled, which is the best way to start your deal. That would, there were several people that had it as the debut progressive rock album of the year. It's very hard to argue, I would say. It has a great wheelhouse. It's gripping. But looking back on it now, you guys are still loving it too, right?
Grind, no life or other signs. Regret stains my mind. So overwhelming. I miss the war. I don't belong in the halls of the elders.
I think the sad thing rehearsing stuff is that you kind of get tired of the same songs all over again. So it's nice to have some new songs in the set list.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's a passion project, so we will never get too tired of it. It's just very, very familiar. But yeah, it's made with love and hate, I guess.
That's the band, right? I mean, that's
what I was saying.
You don't have that. Where are you? Could you all get along?
Might as well
what
quit.
would that be like?
Also, we it's nice to play those songs again. We have some upcoming concerts that we might get back to later. So we've been rehearsing now for a few weeks quite intensely, and we haven't, some of the songs we haven't played for a while, so it's nice to kind of get back into it and kind of get that enjoyment back, because obviously when we're in the studio, we played them 100 times over before before getting into the studio. We're kind of like going on, kind of gets automatic in a while, and so it's nice kind of getting back to knowing.
Because it's not going to be automatic when you're live, right? I mean, I've only done it a couple of times myself, but it's just different. It doesn't happen, right? The setting, everything. You're going to change something. Someone's going to do something.
Well, this brings up an interesting question I have just from a band standpoint, and I've maybe always wanted to ask this and never had the wording until now. You say rehearsing intensely. I come from a background where I've been an athlete and a coach, and I look at practice a different way from that standpoint, the athletic mentality. What does rehearsing and practicing look like for an already established band with songs you already have and new things that you're putting out?
Well,
how does that organization come about?
Well, it's I guess it differs a bit, but mainly playing the songs over and over is one thing, but also kind of playing part by part and then realizing, okay, what happened here? Why does this kind of feel? There's something out the feel that's not right. For example, and then doing that over and over again. Sometimes also looping that specific part, those specific like 5 seconds, just to get the proper timing in, or the proper kind of feel to it.
Yeah, the feel and the groove. Yeah.
Will you hold things longer if the crowd is? Does that have anything to play?
Oh, you mean if we're playing live and the crowd?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna stretch it. I mean, not Dave Matthews kind of stretch it, where you're like, God.
I was actually fantasizing about that when I was going to Melvin's place here after work. So it will be among the questions later, but Sykofant hasn't been playing a lot of live shows yet, so it's quite a new thing for this band.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's gotta be which what you want, right? I mean, it's the whole, you can make an album in your basement, but you want to take it out, right? You want to showcase and show everybody what the thing. Okay. So how did the year go after the recording it, and catch us up on how you're suddenly feeling when you decide, hey, why don't we release an EP? You know, what the whole process of that went into.
So I don't know if I remember correctly, but I think it was during the writing of the album, we concluded that we can extend this even more. So maybe we can just add on something more to the story, maybe dive into the lyrical content when we were writing the first album. Yeah, right after the album, we basically just went into writing mode.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true. And I think also because we did a double album the first time, we also talked about, okay, maybe making something that doesn't take so much time to write, so we can also get it out there faster. Because we were quite eager to share new music, and we did have quite a few ideas already, so we kind of wanted to make a shorter version now, so we also so it didn't take so much time writing and recording as well. So it's a kind of eagerness getting it out there faster that made it become an EP, I guess.
Yeah.
So Sykofantastic Records, that's real, right? Is that your record label?
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
Yeah. So when you go out there, are you signing 18-year-olds and trying to, you know?
Not currently. We're the only signed band.
Okay. All right.
It just gets a little scary when the boss is emailing you guys, because then you're just looking around going, all right, who was it?
Yeah.
We're so lucky that our record label is we're the main focus for that label. So
does it make it?
It's awesome.
Is that more of a business side of things that you know, that's just, it's better for you guys rather than to have to deal with a record label company, all that? You can handle your own distribution, your own process.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that was pretty much the idea of being able to kind of do it in our own tempo as well.
Time crunch can be a deficit to the process, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, you look at it, I mean, back, if you go to the late 60s, early 70s, I mean, these people were producing a record every year, sometimes twice a year. And sometimes you were like, it just wasn't, it didn't have it, you know? Yeah. Okay.
I also kind of wanted to try, see how it was running our own, kind of doing it all ourselves, and see if that was something we're able to do besides having full-time jobs. So at the moment it works really well.
Yeah,
feels like a wheel that's going.
So full-time jobs still?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't ask what they are, because that's your own personal thing. But I think it's like me. I mean, I have this job, another job, but this is the love, right? And you spend those hours, you spend that time cultivating it, right? And hope it goes somewhere. And if it doesn't, you still have it. You can still entertain, and yeah, it's awesome. So how many songs were ready on Red Sun?
How many songs were ready now, or
Yeah, well, like you I'm assuming by what you said that with the debut record, you kind of had some things that were unfinished and they kind of morphed into Red Sun. Okay.
how many? I think at least one song was ready.
Yeah, it was the main riff was was made during the writing of the album,
Okay.
and that was maybe put on the shelf until we finished the album. And then after we recorded the album, then the wheels were rolling. So I think it was the main idea for Ashes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
First track of the EP.
Off the EP. Yeah. Okay.
I gotta ask, what's that feeling like when you finish an album? And I know everyone's got to agree in the group. What's it feel like to say, like, we're done? This is ready to get put out. Like, what is that moment like as a group?
I would kind of say it's a bit similar to like finishing an exam. Like you're putting all this bits and stuff into it, and then you get out of the examination hall or whatever, and you have this, well, at least I do, this kind of expectation that there's going to be this huge thing that's going to happen. And people are minding their own business and life goes on.
It's another day.
Yeah, you got in your car.
Just another day.
A little bit of a relief that there was finally an ending point. It's not just constantly tweaking and modifying and everything from there.
That's a point. But for me also, it's kind of the feeling after we've finished recording a musical piece is that, wow, we've done it. It's quite surrealistic. We've put it into tape, and what now?
Yeah.
I was going to say creative people, though, there's never a definite start and finish to things. The lines are blurred. You probably, the whole time you're recording and getting this particular album or EP ready, you're already going, oh man, write this down for the next one. And that's why you're able to do the EP so quickly, right?
Yeah. And also
your brains don't shut down.
No, and I think it's you can't focus too much on what you have recently recorded, because at least we want always to or we're very our best critics, so I could do this part differently, but but
well, I know your record company's really hard on you.
The bar is way up here. Good job.
Same time, I like the Beatles mantra with "it works. Let's focus on the next thing."
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
So you guys said we talked a little bit about writing. So you said it starts with musicianship. So I won't have to ask that question. But I heard in an interview that Emil and generates concepts and lyrics that maybe start a landscape, and you come in at that point. So, but somehow Melvin is, just because he has two drumsticks in his hands, he's not allowed to write. He has to. Are you afraid he's going to be the next Phil Collins or Don Henley? And you're just trying to keep him out?
I think the band is very dynamic. So if Melvin wants to write a cool piece or a part, then he's welcome to. Yeah, it's the mantra. Everything is allowed.
I guess at the time I was when we started the band, you and Emil had already kind of an idea of what the concepts the songs were going to be, and I found I kind of felt like I was joining like a roller coaster that was already somewhere. Kind of felt like that it's your it was kind of your idea to begin with, and it becomes like something that we all have ownership to. But for the time being, I haven't done any writing. But we'll see. Maybe.
But does that? I'm trying to think. Like you just hear what they have, and then you're deciding the drum pattern, the fill, right?
Yeah. And some parts, we have to do a couple of runs to get it right, and I think I sent you quite a few like drum recordings of different ideas for different songs. So and we figure out together what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, and also it's quite normal that we maybe have an idea about how the feel of the drums should be, but after you've given your take on that, that's very often the cooler idea. Just because Emil and I are more from the rock metal background, where Melvin is also a jazz drummer. So you have different perspective of how to execute the drum parts than how we can imagine things.
So an example is that they can play a certain riff that they made, and I remember Emil said that in his head he kind of heard a metal beat in the background, and when I heard this Latin jazz beats.
Okay. Right. Well,
interesting.
Isn't it that progressive rock? It just like Andy Edwards, who's on YouTube and he follows us too. You have to be a jazz drummer, don't you? You cannot not be.
Yeah, a lot of the progressive bands have jazz drummers in the
You got to have the breadth and expansive listening and to change. Otherwise, everyone maybe sounds the same.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, speaking of that, and the drum side of things, just real quick, like your influences, who do you draw from? Who do you?
Yeah. Wow. That's a big question.
I mean, they can name drop like Ginger Baker and that kind of stuff, but I maybe there's somebody out there that we don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, I started listening to when I started drumming, I was listening to a lot of jazz music, and this was during like early teenage years. So I guess I always been really into kind of jazz, cool jazz drummers like Elvin Jones, Philly Joe Jones. Like played with John Coltrane and Miles Davis, and then I also been listening a lot to this kind of funk. I'm a really big funk enthusiast. Drummers like Siggy from the Meters.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is really like, if you try to put like a metronome to it, they probably kind of just divide really quick.
Yeah, the metronome falls off the table and just that's it. So it has no interest in being there anymore.
It's just like, but it's just like raw emotion put into a beat. That's the meter has.
I can certainly hear it in the new EP. I can hear it in the debut too. It's All right.
That's nice. And also, you know, James Brown's had a drummer called Clyde. I can't really remember his last name now.
It's okay. We can find that. I'll put it up there. It'll scroll on the screen that just to drop to people.
I know Per's probably screaming, wanting to talk guitar, and while we're beating drums over here. But I was gonna say, Mark's talking earlier about watching the YouTube videos where people are pulling records of, you know, what they would want and things like that. One of the videos that's always caught me on YouTube is watching like the Juilliard music professors and stuff putting their own drum spin on what they think based on the lyrics and the guitar and stuff like that. I always
Yeah, like they never heard the song at all, and they had to do the drumming. Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Those videos, I could watch those all day, and it's kind of, it seems like watching or listening to how you guys describe the songwriting process. It's almost similar. You guys having the riffs and vocals ready and just saying, "Hey, Melvin, fill her in and see what you got."
True. There's a really good. I've seen a couple of them. A really good drummer called. He's Canadian. Lewis. He plays drums for Snarky Puppy.
Oh yeah, I get. And with Lewis, I got the wrong person in my head, but I know who you're talking of. They are probably quintessentially the best jazz band on the planet right now, right? Live, they're crazy good.
Yeah. So no, that's it's a really cool.
Where do you go for? I knew having just an expansive use of the guitar and how you do what guitars. I mean, you're not using one, obviously. You've got a couple, and you've got a like to certain sound, but and who's your influences? I mean, obviously, when we hear the record, there's this name that comes up, but I won't say it. How is that for you?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I have a heavy metal background, so that was maybe the start for me. But maybe 15 years ago, I started to delve into the 70s. And there was this guy called Richie Blackmore that I was very by.
Yeah, that guy.
So that's a big one for me.
Nice.
Other guitarists. The thing is that I also studied a bit classical guitar, so I'm very big, or at least I'm very fascinated by classical music, classical and Baroque music. So I think the stuff I do now is a good mishmash of everything that I like. So I'm very curious about which guitarist you can hear through my playing.
Well, the one that stood out obviously was Pink Floyd.
Right.
That was a definite. It's some of the openings, right? Not into the depths of it, but the openings had that lead, that I likened it to that slow feel as to how to bring it to light, you know, and especially beginning of Ashes, but more so, I think in the middle of Red Sun, I could feel that was the
Ripples roll through the waves, it's all a different game from now.
place we were going, but it's like a familiarity, right? I mean, a band that we cite quite a bit on the show because of a stronger connection would be the Tea Party of Canada. You know, yes, that's he's Jim Morrison reincarnate. It's very hard to take it out of that, you know, but he can play guitar like a wizard, and so it's when people say those kind of things to you, like you sounded like Pink Floyd, or you had that Deep Purple, or right. Are you like, I have my own sound, damn it, you know?
Yeah, is it annoying?
Oh, because maybe if you asked me 15 years ago, I would be more on that.
Okay.
But at the same time, all of musicians are stealing ideas from each other and are just adding their take on this sound. So it's just a natural thing, I think. But I think it's funny that you mention Pink Floyd, because it's a very important musical fundament for us.
Yeah.
I think because when Emil and I started the band, Pink Floyd was probably the band that we had the common ground on.
Okay.
It was a band that we both loved and wanted to maybe give our take on it, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So
Well, I hear the 70s talked about, and I hear the Tea Party talked about. Ever any thoughts of bringing something fun into the fray when playing guitar, like maybe the violin wand coming in?
Just to give me some years to just study the.
yeah.
All right.
Classical has such a strong element, and I think what happens with classical is, and Sting talked about it in one of the interviews he was in. He's like, there's this wall that you can't get past, right? Like you talked about, metal is here and here, right? Classical has that, and I've had some people that are, that I watch and listen to, and that are trying to push that envelope, and it's a harder envelope. But if you bring it into progressive rock and all that, it becomes symphonic rock or symphonic prog, right? And there's a danger in that, because that alienate your fan base, or But if you want to play what you want to play, and it adds to the depth of the sound and the creative process, I mean, that's what it's there, and that's what I feel in Red Sun that there is. Now, I have to ask you this, okay? Because I realized, you guys, when we came on, you didn't say, "Oh, the artwork is here," right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have it yet, right?
No, it's a day or two away.
Yeah, it's in the finishing stages.
It's in the finishing stages. Yeah.
All right. So
Because we like to talk about artwork, don't we, Mark?
oh yeah, I do.
This is a big piece for him. This is
So
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's not done yet, but the end result is going to be worth the wait.
So without giving it away, I also want to ask about that process for you guys as a band. Since we have a band on to talk about it, like what goes into, we talk about lyrics, musicianship. Now you've got all that stuff put together, you put an album out. What goes into the artwork discussion as a group?
Right. I think it's one of the things where we are quite synchronized in terms of opinions, and so for the first album, it was really great Italian artist called Marina, and I think what we did then and what we've done now is that we kind of give an outline of what we imagine the kind of expression to be like, and what we kind of visualize, and then we keep it quite open to the artists, how they want to make it and how they want to do it. And both times we've been really, really happy with the results.
okay, so I took the liberty of just having something, right? And I that's how I felt at the end. Like everything was, we had Ashes, we had Red Sun, and we had Amber. So I took the liberty. So it's free. You can take it if you choose.
When they said a day or two away, they didn't mean within the day.
Yeah, I know. It's
Bootleg.
But you bring up an interesting point, because now you're adding that fifth party into the discussion too, where you guys have a vision as a group, and it's, hey, interpret this for us. And it's so interesting that comes back in a way that you like, but you're really leaving it in someone else's hands. None of you guys are creating it yourselves, minus some descriptive words. So it's really interesting how that kind of comes together. And you've, like you said, you found that there's success right away with it, because the more people you add into a conversation, the harder it is to get the same agreements or everyone on the same page. So yeah, very, very interesting to have that result come so consistently for you guys.
Yeah. You know, it's I think it's important for us as well to, when we leave it up to an artist who is obviously a visual artist, that we kind of give them, like we kind of we give them the full kind of artistic leeway in terms of
I don't have the actual physical debut, okay, in format. So one of my pet peeves in all of music, and many people who watch the show know this, there's no name at the top. So when you're scrolling the albums, right, did the artist say, "Don't you dare put your name on that"? Is that or does it come that way and I just don't know it because that's what I see?
Oh, it was important thing for us, maybe, to just not having the logo on the artwork, because adds more mystique to the whole thing.
Okay.
Maybe to discover the album before seeing the logo, and maybe have an idea of how the music will sound like.
Okay. So does Red Sun have name on it or no?
It will be
does.
it will be some text on
There
it.
will be
Yeah.
some text.
All right. Okay, well. So we're 50-50. Okay.
It's right there. We can see it.
No, this is Mark's bullshit makeup, right? Okay. So the last record was a conceptual record by all intents and purposes. We're still there with Red Sun, right?
Yes. So this is our great storyteller Emil, who's written the concept and the lyrics. And it's a kind of it's a spin-off basically from the first album. So as you can see, from the first album cover, it's like desert. There's something going on, and this kind of desert planets. And it's we're still there on Red Sun, so it's still kind of on this deserty planets, where we kind of delve deeper into that storyline, which is from the 5th song on the album, called Strangers.
Oh, all right.
Mark, I think this plays perfectly into.
I'm going back. I was telling the band too that after they're like, I loved it, EP. I'm always like, okay, so I buy the EP and then you come out with the album and then I got to buy the album again. And so I get a little upset. Right. But when I did it, I said, you know what? I said to myself, geez, I wish there was another song. Wait a minute. There's an entire album I can go back to. So I just go back to that.
Yep.
So I wouldn't, I know that I wouldn't do justice properly by trying to describe it, because but so that was the Emil's idea for this EP. Yeah,
Cool. I see this script book or something with pictures and stuff and all that, right? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah. We're
Seems that way, right? So was there anything different in this time around writing process, or are you just kind of moving in the same direction as this one? There's recording, writing, all that same?
So the writing process was much more compressed this time. We did use, at least the writing of the first album spanned over quite some while, but this was more compact. And also Emil did more of the writing this time, and I was more in the back seat and maybe doing some adjustments during recording this time.
Okay.
So I think that reflects the sound of the album more, but also it adds a fresh air to the music. And it's we're going into I want to say a different path on the EP, but it's stronger direction compared to the album, where it's a lot of elements, and of course it's a longer piece and more songs, but it's a more set musical landscape, I think.
Okay.
Which is the concept and the story very good, I think.
And we also did the whole recording ourselves this time.
Right. That's right. So, do you feel like you now there wouldn't be anybody you would let in? Right.
No, I think we'll keep it open to doing it with an external producer in the future. I think.
Okay.
I think also because like part of this is also experimenting with what can we do ourselves. How does that actually work? So it's also kind of learning by doing.
Yeah.
Which is it's fun as well. So we had a great producer on the first album, and we're really happy with the results. And still, we kind of wanted to see what would happen if we did this ourselves. And we were open to kind of also abandoning the whole thing and saying like, no, we need to get back to a professional studio. But I think we managed to scrape something together.
It was full experience.
Yeah.
Damn, did you, in listening to this, did you feel that all of a sudden it was done by a bunch of amateurs? You didn't feel that way, did you?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah,
As you can tell, I don't bring a lot of expertise to this show other than if you're creating your Wikipedia page, the best thing you can do is put some fun facts in there, because that's what I'm all about. I want to know what your crazy, weird hobby is and all that kind of stuff. But no, this I went back and I listened to your full album as well, so that I could kind of feel where you were coming from. And obviously you could tell by my review of Pattern Seeking Animals, this is definitely the kind of music that I'm drawn to. And I might not listen to it as much as I did when it was the 70s and 80s, because there's just so much more stuff out there, right? And Mark keeps me busy. So, but I can say that it was a very good, familiar feeling. But I know that you said, Mark had asked you about your influences and how do you feel if somebody says you sound like this. And you said 15 years ago it might have kind of stuck in your craw a little bit, but now that comes with maturity, that comes with looking at that as a compliment, not that we're saying, oh God, just another David Gilmour, just another Jeff Beck, just another. Well, guess what? I'd love to be just another David Gilmour or Jeff Beck. So I would say that you guys really, you're very, very intricate, complex. You're musicians for sure. I play piano and clarinet, obviously not anything to the extreme that you guys are, but I was trained a little bit. So I love classical music. My favorite band is Led Zeppelin. And if I can listen to Led Zeppelin played by the Philharmonic, you guys are kind of like that on your own.
Wow.
A progressive band is really taking this worldly current stuff and putting where the roots of music came from, which is back to the beginning of time, right? So I loved it. And I was just so thrilled that you were going to be on here with us. So I wouldn't say anything bad anyway. Call me up later.
Now I feel bad. I'm on this as the fifth person with absolutely no musical talent whatsoever.
It's all right. Don't have this appreciation of it. You guys, I
right.
made this funny comment out there when we were talking. I just said, why is there no live shows? Why is there? So give us, I even prefaced in my mind to say, okay, so they got this set list, but are you going to do a cover too? Are you going to, is that sacrilege, So tell us all about that. And Deb said she's got time. She would go out, she'd do video for the band so that, because
Fire.
Good, yeah.
I can retire from my real job as an accountant and do what I finally want to be, a groupie.
Hey, I'll just bring the beers. I'll be honest. Like,
You're
I
hard.
think that too.
yes.
It's a short trip. Yeah. Yeah, no, sorry, what was the question?
the live show, what should
yeah.
people expect? What are you trying to expect? What do you want to do? What do you want to, what's that?
We haven't done a lot of shows.
So far, we
So far.
only played one show,
Yeah,
actually.
done one show.
Okay.
But we have four, no, wait, yeah, 4 shows scheduled.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
At the very moment.
All local in that regard, or are you?
For the time being, all local, yeah.
Mm.
So we're playing in different parts of Norway.
What's the scene like? What is it you, this bar, or is it a band that wants you to open? How does?
Yeah, so in 3 weeks we're going to play with 2 other great progressive rock bands, Norwegian bands. That's in Bergen. So we're kind of, it's a triple gig, and we're opening that. And then we have a festival, well, 2 festivals, one in the summer and one in the autumn.
Yeah. The first festival is actually, it was earlier a more black metal festival, actually. But they recently wanted to expand the music a bit more, adding more genres to the bill. So the festival is called Hellbotn, which is located at a place called Kolbotn. So it's a play on the place's name. We're playing with a cool band from Bergen on the west coast called Morax, which released the first album last week, I think. It's more in the traditional heavy metal kind of vibe, but I enjoyed the album, and also there's some extreme metal bands on the bill as well. So we're maybe the black sheep on the lineup.
Okay.
It's soft.
Okay.
Part of it.
They're gonna have to. They can't do it all day. They'll pass out. So you guys got to come on and relieve. The mosh pit can't continue that long. It just
We're the elevator music.
That's not even close. I mean, if you're on in an elevator, that elevator is going places quickly.
Hey, funny enough, when I know those festivals are coming up, I'm gonna one of my former goaltenders. I was a hockey coach for a bit. He lives in Sweden, and he's not afraid to travel in that area. So I'll push him a little bit your guys' way.
Please do.
Yeah. Spread the word.
Yeah. But you guys, I just want to give you a warning, all right? I just heard yesterday that Fire Festival 2 is being planned. If Billy McFarland calls you, say you're not available, because I feel it's another scam. So I'm just saving you. I'm saving you any kind of trouble, but Fire Festival 2, don't answer that call. Go to other festivals.
Unless they offer you a headline, do it.
yeah. But certainly I must have learned his lesson from the first time around.
Oh,
so.
yeah, must be. Yeah.
I guess you could look at it that way. You can look at it that way, I guess.
Hey, I tell you what, you guys are welcome to play Buffalo anytime.
Yeah.
That's got to be your first stop when you guys come over to our side of the pond.
Yeah, and you're not afraid of cold weather, so come to Buffalo.
I was talking to them, and going back and forth in email, and I just said, you can come in to Buffalo. We can have a meal to music. You guys can play just as long as you bring the brunst. I've never tried brown cheese, but I hear it's a love-hate relationship, and I think that's a band, right? A love-hate relationship. Maybe the new album could be called Brown Cheese. No, that's not.
No, brown cheese, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Oh.
We'll try it.
Never try anything twice. That's my So you guys, I appreciate you doing this. I love the EP. It's March 20th, I want to say, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's it's everything you would expect from Sykofant, but a more and just compacted, right? As you guys said, compressed into three. But they're not 3-minute tracks. They're definitely expansive in the progressive rock realm. The musicianship is tight. The production, I didn't even realize that you guys did it yourself. I honestly, in my ear, I couldn't discern any difference from the prior production that made me want to go like, oh wow, I see that they don't know where to put a microphone. It sounds great. And when progressive rock, it has to sound great, because if it doesn't, I don't know. That's when you pick that as where you're going, the expectations are here, right? If you're a garage band, well, you can do anything. You can sound off kilter. This is too much of the back.
Yeah.
It's a mess. So
You're able to at least hear some of the notes in progressive music. Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta be able to play, man. Gotta be able to play. So I'm going to ask this of any guests that come on. So I prepped you just in case, because I didn't want you to be caught off guard. So I'd like to know 3 albums that you take to hell.
Right.
To hell. Oh wow, that's
Yeah. So I was reading the question earlier today, so I already my take on it. So
Got his homework done. I love it.
yeah. So to hell. So I think the concept of hell is like it's quite dramatic. So I think I would like to maybe calm myself down a bit. So to hell, I would like to bring with me Miles Davis' Kind of Blue.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
By Pound and Thin Lizzy Black Rose.
So Thin Lizzy and the Black Crows. Did I hear that right?
Black Rose. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the other side of that, 3 albums you take to heaven.
This means you're gonna ramp up the sound up there, right?
Yeah. So I need to feel the adrenaline in heaven. So yeah, actually, I've written down the band we're sharing the bill in Hellbottom, Morax, the Amulet, Slayer, Raining Blood, and
Boy, would they even let you bring that in? It's contraband.
No.
It's contraband. You have to. You got to sneak it in somehow, right?
I don't even think that makes it past purgatory, at least.
And he hid that uncomfortable CD up his. No, okay, never mind.
Oh my God.
So Melvin, anything? You just are you going? You're not going to either or. You're staying in the middle. That's what us jazz drummers do. We stay in the middle.
No, he's staying with Slayer in purgatory. If Slayer can't make it past the pearly gates.
I have records here in North, so it's no, yeah. I kind of regret I didn't prepare this, but I think 3 albums that I kind of really enjoyed for like several years that I keep coming back to is Donald Byrd, Place and Spaces. It's from '75.
You are not the first person to say that on this show.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's a great record. I guess maybe I would take that to heaven because it's got some airplanes on the cover.
Okay.
Of the album. There's also an album by Raphael Sadiq called Stone Rollin'. It's like an R&B soul, a really funky album. So I guess maybe I'll take that to hell then, because what else? Well, you mentioned Miles Davis. I guess also all the old like cool jazz albums, the big ones like Blue Train, John Coltrane, Birth of the Cool,
Giant Steps.
Yeah. Great albums. Oh, there's so many.
Well, what's fun about this question, the way Mark asks it too, is your definition of heaven and hell in this one is open to interpretation. So
Mhm.
the way Per did it, I thought was fantastic, throwing a complete 180 on it. And I know
Right.
there's other ways this question's been interpreted, like 3
Yeah.
albums you'd banish to hell and 3 that deserve to be in heaven.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I was thinking like Taking to Town and like the worst albums I've heard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Like-
you what I did mention that on because we did a show, and I'm hoping to do it every year, but they stuck me when we did the show. No one showed; it was just me. All right, so I had to take all the albums I wanted to take to hell. So I opened the preface like that. I wish I'm taking this one album there just to burn it, and that was Metallica and Lou Reed, that Lulu album. That was a shit show, and I just like I'm burning that. That was so that's the album I wanted to burn. But after that, it made sense. But one of you mentions an album in an article a little ways back. Do you remember the band?
One of us?
Yeah, I
What
want
about?
to say it was you, Melvin, but I didn't look back. It Gunerius Verdensveven.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw the light bulb go off for both of them immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You're sitting here like, what?
I wanted to listen to it beforehand to kind of like but then I thought maybe do you think I was stalking you? So what is it like? What should I expect?
Everything.
Everything?
So it's a great band that actually you guys have seen them live. I haven't seen them live.
They're also Oslo based.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oslo based. It's how do you define it really?
It's hard to or in the Birds' perspective, it's very experimental. And they first off, they have like microtonal frets on the guitars.
Oh boy.
They're able to play like the kind of Indian scales.
Mhm.
And yeah, and they're playing a lot with different kind of genres that rock music maybe haven't delved too much into.
Okay.
All right, because it's on my list, and if I enjoy it at that realm, sometimes it could wind up on a show, and that they have to listen to it anyway against their will.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I didn't know where I was going to put that, but all right. Well, I obviously want to thank you guys for doing this. Is there anything you guys want to plug, talk about, say, name drop?
Well, I'll probably think of 100 things after.
Well, you guys are more than welcome back. Now, does the second EP later on in the year, is that a reality, or you're not putting a timetable?
Well, it is for the time being. It's the plan. There's going to be another one. Exactly when hasn't been decided yet. But,
No, or Emil has this time wheel which he likes to follow, so it will be probably sometime after the summer. And we're writing on the EP as we speak, so I think it will be completed sometime soon.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, I have to do this with the band at first as well.
Yep.
Coffee's done, so cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
But thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
That was
Absolutely.
great. Fun. It was fun.
So I'll thank Melvin and Per, Dan, and Alex. I'm sure the EP is going to be a hit, and it's going to keep the band fresh in the memory of it. It's hard these days. There's so many albums and bands coming out some of it's not good, but it's just expansive. There's a lot out there, and it's hard to keep that wheel rolling. That Emil has, so you got to keep it going. that he's got a clock somehow, right?
We might have to dive into that next time with you guys.
So we'll ask this of our watchers and that. What did you think of those 3 albums we started with? And don't worry, in March you'll be able to get Red Sun EP. So go out and get that, and then tell us all about it, what you thought, how it syncs up with the debut. Obviously, they're coming over to Williamsville whenever they want. They just got to show up at the front door. We'll open everything up. And they said they're bringing the Brunst. So I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And per noise is not an issue at his house, so it's not going to be an acoustic set. This is full amps. We got it ready to go for you.
Although I got this feeling that as you
If
guys
I need to, I've got a few over there I can bring over. So
Nice.
little acoustic wouldn't work. It would work too. I mean, you'll do that too, right? I mean, do you have that's going to be part of the shows too, or no?
Well,
we'll see.
Well, not okay. So not the festival with the metal people, obviously. I think if you bring out an acoustic guitar, they're gonna run, right? That's my imagine.
Well, I have seen you with a acoustic guitar, and there's some beautiful stuff coming.
Yeah. See, I had that feeling just by listening to it, right?
if we're good to going off of anything with the heaven and hell, he'll bring the electric to your house, Merc, and he gets to the metal festival. He's bringing the acoustic.
Yeah, the acoustic version of Megadeth. Nice. All right. I like it.
a violin as well.
A violin yeah, you guys step on with a violin and an acoustic guitar, and he's got his drum sets like only 3-piece set, and he's a little great. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, articles, videos, podcasts. It's all about bands and artists like Sykofant and anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. Catch me for Unknown Sundays. I know we're going down for sure. Thanks to Melvin and Per again. Fabulous. Thank you guys
very much.
Bye.